Hello, good morning, everybody who's tuning in for day 2 of the Craft East Digital Retail Forum. Glad to have you all back and glad to have Wendy back for another session this morning. We're going to have some fun. We're switching up the format this time by the sounds of it. No more slides, just straight one-on-one talking, so it's going to be great. So my name's Greg Toole. We work with Craft Alliance Atlantic Association based in Halifax, Nova Scotia, but serving the Atlantic provinces, and happy to offer this opportunity for some more sessions today to learn about how things are shifting in retail and what we can be doing to provide for our customers better. So looking forward to this topic again this morning with Wendy. Want to start by welcoming everybody and acknowledging the land that we live and work on, which for us is the unceded and ancestral territories of the Mi'kmaq, but across Atlantic Canada, we're talking about the Passamaquoddy, Wolastoqiyik, Beothuk, the Inuit of Nunanyatsavut and Nunatukavut, and the Innu of Nitassinan. Craft Alliance supports the upholding of the peace and friendship treaties of 1752 and 1761, which reaffirmed the land hunting and trading rights of this land's original people. And we encourage all our clients and partners to explore the fundamental impact of First Nations craftsmanship on the current craft traditions enjoyed here today. Each of us, I think in our work and personal lives, can find space for the responsibility that we hold to consider the relationship to colonialism that we each have and the persisting impacts on First Nation communities of that. So by reflecting and educating ourselves, each person can develop their own path for approaching reconciliation and decolonization. And we're all treaty people. So together, our individual and collective efforts can have an impact. We also acknowledge historic communities such as the many African Nova Scotians, Black loyalists, who faced hardships and even threats of re-entering slavery upon their arrival to this part of Canada. The harmful effects of systemic racism and outright racism remain a harsh reality for many people today. So we support the Black Lives Matter movement, and Craft Alliance encourages retailers to take steps in evaluating what they can do to support craftspeople from diverse backgrounds, including supporting makers who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as well as LGBTQ2S individuals and people with disabilities. So please consider that in your work moving forward. This morning, as I mentioned, we're happy to welcome Wendy Batten back. She's a business coach for creative shop owners who prides herself on helping retailers uncomplicate and simplify their retail or creative business. She is a creative first herself, ran a thriving DIY studio and retail business in Moncton for many years before franchising that business to devote her time to coaching retailers to find their business success that they always dreamed of. So she helps creatives go from being a creative running a retail business to becoming a confident creative CEO running successful creative businesses. So working with industry leaders, creatives, shopkeepers all over the world with her business courses, group coaching, and consulting programs. Wendy is coming to us once again from Blue Rocks, Nova Scotia, based in Atlantic Canada, here to provide us with some great knowledge this morning. So Wendy, I will punt it over to you to share some knowledge with us this morning.
Awesome. So I'm so happy to be back here again. It's great to be here. I'm flattered and honored to be back here. And today, so it's what a mouthful, right? All that, what she does and all that kind of thing. But basically the 5-part framework, we're going to uncomplicate the marketing. It's 5 questions. So a lot of times we make such a big deal about the marketing side of things, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. So all you have to do is more social media. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do it. Nobody wants to do more social media. And that's what I'm here to help you with. So we can figure out a marketing plan that works for your business. So it's really, really important. As we know, marketing is literally the fuel, right? It's the fuel that moves our business forward. If we don't have new customers coming in, think of a bucket, right? If we have a bucket of customers and we have to keep filling the bucket with new customers, but a lot of us don't pay attention to the customers we do have. And so it's just like this always ongoing bucket of trying to fill, trying to get more foot traffic in, especially now, especially with the way things are right now. How do we, top up our bucket, keep the customers we have happy, serve everybody, and not have to work so hard? And we also don't have to be all over the place and do all the things. I promise I see it happen all the time with my shop owners. I work with independent, creative, smaller, well, big and small, I guess, businesses, but independent retailers. And I see this work with, the booth owners or the DIY studio owners right up into the larger businesses. So we're going to figure out a marketing plan using 5 questions, 5 things that you're going to think through, and 5 questions that you're going to think through that will work for you and your customers, so we can keep that bucket full and we can keep the fuel going, right? If we don't have marketing, it does not matter how beautiful our shop is. It doesn't matter how amazing our products are. It doesn't matter, if we have the best pottery in the world. It doesn't matter if we sell the best products or we have like this most gorgeous store. It doesn't matter if people don't know about it and the customers aren't coming in. We will not succeed in business. So I want to help you do that. I'm going to do it a little bit unconventionally today. So I want you to trust me. I promise it works. I do work with retailers all over the world. I'm again just so flattered to be here. It's just such a great place. I'm excited. I feel like a racehorse trying to get out today, because this is one of my favorite topics because it's so complicated. So I want you to realize that what we're going to talk about today is going to be a plan. So my retailers put this into format every Monday morning. They sit down. If you were with me yesterday, we talked about doing CEO dates. I do this every week. Every Monday morning, I sit down, I ask these 5 questions. So I promise it works and it's going to help your marketing. So I'm going to be a little bit goofy today because I get excited about it. I don't have a slide presentation, as you see, which I know is probably not the norm. I promise you I'm still professional. Even though you're going to see some dorky doodles. I like to do doodles to kind of get things going. I also speak fast, so I try not to be, but I will, and I will try to speak slower for you. I just get so energized and so excited about helping retailers. So let me know in the chat if you can. I think Greg's got the chat open there. If you can just let us know where you're watching from and where your shop is and what you do. What are you known for? What are you the go-to for? I would love to know if you put that in the chat. And also through the presentation, post your questions and I will take time at the end to answer your questions. If we run out of time because I talk too much, you can reach out and find me and I will answer your questions, because I do love talking about this with retailers. So one of the things there's 5 parts. So we're going to start with 5 questions. Isn't that simple? Doesn't that seem too simple for you, right? So one of the things I want to assume that you know is who your ideal customer is, who you serve. So this has shifted for some of you maybe in the last year. Who your customers are might have shifted from tourist to more local, or from maybe you've shifted your services, maybe you've shifted your product lines, or maybe you were just getting started, because we have a lot of people maybe just getting started. You really need to know who you serve, and this needs to be, and I'm going to make that assumption going in because that's a whole other seminar, a whole other session, but you really do need to know who you serve so you can speak to them and serve them properly. So this is the sort of the beginning foundation of these questions and how we're going to go through them. So once we know who we serve, then we start working through the questions. And so the first question, and these are all about filling that bucket, right? And keeping that bucket. I want to remind you that that's what we're doing. So our first part of our 5-part marketing framework, the first question you should ask yourself is, how am I attracting new customers? And what I mean by that is, don't laugh at my doodles, I'm bad doodler, but you're going to remember my thing after you be like the girl with the goofy doodles. How are we getting new eyeballs on our business? So where are we getting new people from? This isn't where are we getting regular customers to come back. That's going to come. But where are we getting new people? How are we getting people's attention? What are you doing to get people's attention? So as a retail business, and there's so many ways to get people's attention, right? So literally physically the front of your store. Like, do you have flags? Does it look good? Ask yourself, what am I doing to attract people's attention? Am I by a place where there's cars driving by? Can I paint the facade? Can I add flowers? What can I do to, like, literally, this is literal attraction strategy. We call this an attraction strategy. We are trying to get people's attention, but there's other ways to get people's attention, of course, right? How do we get in front of other people's audiences? How do we, and by that I mean, how can I get Joe's coffee shop down the street to, give me a shout out? Well, I'm going to go down to Joe's coffee shop maybe, and I'm going to collaborate with them. I'm going to have a coffee, and I'm going to hold Joe's coffee at my studio, and he's going to tag me, I'm going to tag him. We're sharing each other's audiences. There's so many ways we can do an attract strategy just working locally, right? So even let's think about local news. That's an amazing way. Do you realize how many local news opportunities you have? They are dying to find out what you do. They want to talk to you. Like, just pitch them. The answer is always no if we don't ask, right? So, and maybe that's not your thing. Again, attract strategy and all of these strategies, we're going to make them fit for you. So what feels natural and authentic for you? Now, sometimes we have to get uncomfortable. It's not always comfortable going on the news. The first time I did it with CTV Morning News in Atlantic Canada here. And I was on several times with them, and it just blew up my business. Really, it did. It made such a difference. I literally just went on and showed how to paint some things, and I just had some fun, and it was uncomfortable at first, but I did it. There's paid attract strategies, and there's organic attract strategies. Doing things like meet and greets or networking. I know this is weird now, but even Zoom meetings, or being part of local committees, like being on a local committee. You have to really think about what fits for you and what makes sense for you. But think of it. How can I get my business, my name and my business in front of new people? And how can I get them to talk about me? Like, how can I get them to say, oh, who's that girl? Who's that? Who's the Paint It Pineapple? Who is that shop? Who is Mosaic? Who is that? What is that person? Another really amazing thing that works really well, again, you do you, whatever works for you, 10 minutes a day, going on Instagram or Facebook on other local businesses or wherever you think your ideal customer is hanging out, local sports teams or wherever, and just commenting on, this isn't selling on other people's pages. That's just icky. I don't mean it this way. This is authentic. Going on your local sports team or wherever your customer's hanging out. Maybe it's a fellow coffee shop, again, back to the coffee shop, or a bookstore near you. And if you see that the local bookstore has a grand opening or something, or they're promoting something or doing something, you're like, oh, this is cool. I love this. Can't wait to come over and visit. And you do that as your page, and it says, so now your Susie's store has just popped up on their page. People that like the bookstore are going to say, oh, who's Susie's store? They're going to click on that. They're going to find you. So there's just different ways. This doesn't have to take a long time. And attract strategies I could talk about forever. I just want to give you some ideas. You could host a pop-up shop in your store, and by a pop-up, bring other makers in. Well, right there, you're getting other makers' audience, right? Like if I invite somebody's jewelry company to come in and have a Saturday pop-up shop, or as a featured artist in my studio this week, or my shop, that's an attract strategy. Painting the front of your shop an amazing color, or doing something beautiful, attract strategy. And I'm hoping that makes sense. And please ask your questions as you go through. In a paid version, we can do Facebook ads, we could do Google ads, we can do radio, newspaper, all the things, but we don't have to do that. We have lots of organic ways. Sharing Facebook posts, lots of different ways. On the website side, or as an attract strategy to have people find you when they're trying to Google you, this is where we use the SEO words. And I know there's been other guests on here talking about that. Getting yourself in local business directories. Here's a secret. Type in business directories and the plus sign and your town name, and a whole bunch of them will pop up. There's all kinds. There's ones you've never thought about. There's all kinds of free ones. Just put your store in there as a reference. Or if you are a studio or you do services, there's tons of places. I know it's a silly thing, but this helps you get found and stay up on first page of a Google search, right? We all want to be on the first page of Google search. So know what you're, if you know what you want to be known for. So I was the paint lady. I sold tons of paint in my store. I was a DIY painter. And if you typed in DIY Moncton, I popped up every time. If you typed in paint store Moncton, I popped up over like the Benjamin Moores and stuff. My little tiny shop popped up because I was making sure I was in these things, and it didn't take that much time. So there's lots of ways, again, collaborating. You know what? Sometimes we just have to introduce ourselves to our neighbors. I know this sounds really crazy, but I actually just went I had a studio in Lunenburg here. Sorry, the sun just came out. I'm going to like be all glowy. So sorry about that, guys. I thought it was going to stay cloudy. So I went to I had a DIY studio in Lunenburg. I had 2 locations for quite some time, and there's all kinds of restaurants and shops in our small little town of Lunenburg, but they didn't know what I did. So I went to every shop and restaurant and whatever. I gave them little cards that said, hey, this is my business. I do paint I have a paint studio. I teach paint workshops. I teach people how to upcycle their furniture. Here's some coupons for your staff for buy one, get one free workshops. And or something, just even a postcard, just going and saying hello. I don't know, bring Christmas cards or welcome cards or whatever, or something. Just introduce yourself if you have to. That was amazing for my business, because guess what happened when people were sitting in the restaurants or at the bookstore and they were like, what else is there to do around here? Oh, the little paint store across the street. Or if people said, what is that little store right there? What is this Front Porch Mercantile DIY studio? What is that? The staff there all knew, because I gave them, a coupon, or even a lot of them didn't even use it. Some of them became regulars, but see, I'm excited. These are really simple things that you can do for your business locally. And again, you do what works for you, but think about it every day or every week. Sit down and put a plan in place on what are you doing to attract new customers. How am I attracting new customers? What am I doing this week to attract new customers? And we always have to be finding new customers. Don't get complacent about trying to figure out, well, there's nobody walking by, so I can't have any, there's not anybody going to come here. This is our responsibility as retailers. It's our responsibility to make sure that we just keep searching and looking. So that's the attract strategy, right? So that's the new eyeballs, right? That's how we think about all the time. How are we attracting new customers? That's the first part. That's the first question we ask. The second part is, okay, so I've got people's attention. Somebody pulled into my parking lot, and now what? How are we engaging them, right? How are we engaging them? So that is the second part. And I'm laughing because there's a couple of ways. There's also, we have to think about, I got their attention, they Googled me, they found me, they landed on my website, they landed on my Facebook page. Whether you want to incorporate Facebook as a strategy that you use or a tool that you use, you definitely need, in my opinion, you do you. And I don't like to shit on people, but you should have a Facebook page presence of some sort, because that's where your customers are going to be looking for you. Even if you're not using it as like an everyday strategy or a tool, you should still have a page presence. So when I land on your page, or it's just like pulling into your driveway. I found you when I Googled you, you popped up as whatever it is that you are in your community. And think about tourists and other people coming to your business as well. Not just, well, everybody here knows who I am, because they don't. But engaging is, how do we get people to take that next step? How do we get them to this is my like. How do we get them to like our page? How do we get them to take the step in the door? If they're walking by, if you're someplace where there's actual foot traffic and they're walking by, how do I get them to come in the door? How do I got their attention, right? I attracted them. Now, how do I get them to take the next step with me? How do I get them to engage? If they land on my website, how do I get them to sign up for my emails? Or how do I get them to like my page? Or how do I get them to start scrolling through my Facebook page? And that's engaging them. It's like, hello, you found me. Now I want you to take the next step with me. So this has where we have to be super clear about letting people know what we do. So our Facebook page, our headers, like, when I land on your page, I don't want to have to scroll through like 15 minutes to see what you do. I need to know right away. Same as your website. I'm not going to teach you about website and all of that because we've already had some great guests talk about things like that. But that's what you want to be able to do. So ask yourself, when people land on my website or when people land on my Facebook page, is it super clear? Like, do you have a pinned post maybe with a store tour? Recently and locally, I was attracted. Locally, I was attracted to a building that I drove by that I had driven by a long time, and it got all freshly painted. That's why I keep talking about attract strategies, and painting works. And I stopped into this place. It was a beautiful pottery place. They engaged me when I went in. It was really like nice when I went in. Engagement is also, so this pottery studio, they engaged me. Also, when months later, they engaged me by when I went on their page. It was engaging. It was made me like them again. It made me do all these things again. But I want to just stepping into your store. Is it inviting? Recently, I was in a store locally where I walked in. There was boxes piled all up by the door. They had just gotten an order in. You guys know what I'm talking about with that, but that's just not cool. The clerk was over, busy. We all get busy. I totally get that. I've totally been there. But, she had her head down. She was, rah, 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 it was grumpy. The boxes were there. I did not feel very engaged. I did not walk in. So I didn't go any further. I was like, yeah, no, this isn't for me. I don't feel very loved on here. I don't really feel like you really, and that she might have been the most amazing store ever, but it didn't engage me, didn't make me want to come in. So how you greet your customers is part of your engaged strategy, making things easy for me and clear when I walk in, merchandising at the entrance. We know that. Making sure that, again, it feels really good and it's inviting to me. On my making sure my signage is clear. I know that sounds funny, but sometimes people aren't quite sure what we are. Like, we got their attention, but making sure that it's not just above here, but make sure like it's, at your parking lot level kind of thing, or your walking level, that it's very clear. It's on the door. It's what you do. And it's like, oh, this is interesting. I'm going to take the next step. So we have two parts of this, right? We have actually physically getting people's attention and getting them in the door. We also have getting their attention online or social media or website, and then getting them to take that next step with us there too. So just review your engage strategy. How are you getting people's attention? Do you have a clear, is it clear what you do? Because it's not for a lot of us. A good way to do that is to find somebody who doesn't know your business and ask them to, like, maybe even just a neighbor or something, and ask them to look at it. We've all done this. It's an exercise I do with a lot of my retailers, saying, can you just go and look at, get somebody to look at your work and see if it does make sense. Because what's clear to us is not necessarily clear to our customers. We know our business, right? The next step to the journey, so we've got their attention, we've got them to take a step, they've liked our page, or they've signed up for our email, or they've taken the step inside our store and they feel good, so now they're going to move forward. The next part of all of this is the part that a lot of us maybe take for granted, and we maybe do intuitively. I know a lot of retailers I work do this intuitively, but you do need to make a plan for it, and you do need to make sure your team and your staff, and I say this, I do it intuitively because it's my nature to really care about people. But the next part is to nurture our customer. And that is where we get that know, like, and trust factor. You've heard that before. Everybody needs to know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust. I say know, love, and trust. That's why I have a heart here. So the way that we get customers to know, like, and trust us, and I actually had a retailer say, I don't care if people love me. I'm like, yes, you do. You do want them to love you. If not love you, you do want them to be the ones that they recommend. You do want them to remember you and be top of mind. So a couple of ways and a couple of strategy or tools that you can use and tips that you can do and questions you can ask yourself when people are in my shop, when people are inside the shop. Now they've walked inside the shop. is there good signage explaining our products, especially those of you who have handmade and custom made, or you have vendors inside your shop that are locally made? Never assume that people are going to pick up and look at every little sign and say, oh, it's made in Nova Scotia. Like, have a beautiful sign there, have things, you know, explain things to your customers. This is nurturing. This is part of the nurturing, and having a really welcoming shop that makes me feel good and flow through. Again, that's, you know, merchandising. Having knowledgeable staff, you would not believe how far that goes to your nurture, you know, to nurture your customers. The other way we nurture our customers is through regular emails, keeping contact with our customers. You are not bugging them. Please send them emails. They are waiting, and especially in this day and age right now, they are looking for you, they are looking for you to share good information. And again, that's a whole other session. But you know, your emails to them, you know, it's helpful to them. You have to think about it that way. Maybe your nurture, maybe part of your nurture strategy, and that might not be your strategy, that's fine. Maybe part of your nurture strategy is swag. Like, you know, you give people, oh, there's one of mine right there, like a bag, right? Like that. So, you know, it's part of how we, you know, we have things that we give customers to make them feel good. Again, tons of rapport is kind of an intangible thing, but training your staff to do that, making sure that you're really, really connecting with your customer on the website side of things, or on the, you know, the digital side of things, and not, if they're not physically in the store, doing Facebook Lives, doing Facebook Live sales. That's a very big thing right now. Keeping your Instagram account, you know, nurturing them through your Instagram account by showing them different things going on in the shop. YouTube videos, you know, that might be your thing. Take your Facebook Lives and upload them to YouTube. I will tell you, back to this pottery shop that I found years ago. It was last summer, feels like years ago. You know, and so this pottery shop, you know, they painted it and it got my attention. That was an attract strategy. They were amazingly like nurturing when we were inside. They were really nice. They explained the different types of pottery, blah, blah, blah. You know, I really loved it. I bought pottery then. I spent money then. They got money from me that day. They also, so fast forward through the holidays, they sent me an email. I forgot I was even on their thing. I got an email. I clicked on his YouTube video. Guess what? It was a tour of the shop, because I have been one of those people who've kind of holding back. I'm still shopping local all the time, but they did a full video tour of their studio that I could watch. And guess what I did? I sent my husband and I told him what my Christmas wish list was. And he went and he bought, and that's where our Christmas money was spent this year, on a beautiful set of plates, because of that nurture sequence. And because he took the time to do a YouTube video, he does videos of shop. And this is how my retailers are doing it as well too. Facebook Live, tours of your shop, having a really good Facebook presence. And again, you do you with Facebook, but even just posting beautiful interior shots now more than ever is nurturing your customers. Now more than ever, please listen to this. People, especially in our area, are not like out browsing and shopping and, you know, just going out with the girlfriends and hanging out, walking through your shops. How can you serve them? How can you, how can you show them what you have? Beautiful, and beautiful photography. I'm talking, take your iPhone and get some pictures. All kinds of apps now on our phone that we can lighten them up. It doesn't, you don't have to have a professional photographer. We can all do this. Just keep thinking about, how am I nurturing my customers? How am I letting them know what's going on in the shop? How am I nurturing when they are in my shop? This is really important now more than ever, to have that nurture thing. And people also want to do business. We know this. We know this is a fact. They want to do business with small local businesses. We need to let them know how, and we need to let them know why. We need to let them know the face of our business. We're not some like Walmart corporation, like no-name businesses. This is where our values are shown. This is where, and I don't mean you have to share all your personal stuff, but if you're, if you support a local cause, if you believe in something, it's okay to share that, and that's okay. And if you donate money back to a cause, these are all value-driven, nurturing, helping people know, like, and trust you. So be the face of your business. Make sure that you're around. Again, you don't have to be on Facebook all day long. That's not what this is about. Remember, we're uncomplicating your business, but ask yourself, how are you nurturing people once they're in your shop or once they found you online? And that's your regulars. How are we keeping our are also keeping our regular customer. They've told us they like us, right? They've liked us on Facebook. They've signed up for our email. They've shopped with us before, maybe. They're in our store right now. We have a human being standing in front of our store. What can I do as a shop owner? I want to say hug these people. I'm a hugger, but I don't mean hug your customers, although I do, but not everybody. But I build relationships with my customers, even if they're only there for like 8 minutes. And that's really important. And training your staff and having the signage and making people feel welcome. And you guys all know what I'm talking about with that. You've been in shops like that. Are you doing that with your shop? It matters right now. This is really, really important that we have this nurture sequence figured out, right? So we've attracted them, we've engaged them, we got them to like take that leap of faith with us, we got their attention. And this all takes energy, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And now we need to nurture them. So hopefully that's clear as mud. And again, please leave your questions and I can answer them if you have them. The next part, the fourth question that we ask ourselves. And again, I have retailers that we do this every Monday morning. We call them CEO dates. And part of our CEO dates in my coaching groups, and I have a retailers inner circle where I have a couple hundred people, couple hundred retailers intimately working together. And this is something that I encourage all the time, these 5 questions every Monday morning. So how are we serving our people? Again, now more than ever, things have changed, right? So by serving is also selling. Like, what are we, how are we, I'm looking for my doodle. So basically, how are we making our money? Like, how are we, we've done all these things, we've got the, how are we making the sale? How are we serving them? How are we, what are we doing to make it easy for our customers? And this goes from thinking, what are our customers thinking? What are they feeling? What are they doing? That's the questions I ask myself under the serve part all the time. So this year, again, more than ever, you may have had to shift some of your product lines. I've seen retailers shift their service. We've also shifted how we serve our customers. Curbside pickup. Who did that before? Not very many people, right? How are we making it easy for our customers? How are we, what do they need right now? What do they need right now? Everybody's home doing new hobbies. How can we jump on that bandwagon? How can we help them? How can we serve them to the best of our ability at this point? We have to think of, again, we have to give them the right products at the right time. So Facebook Live sales is, again, curbside pickup, Facebook Live sales are just, I can't even explain to you how amazing that has taken off for many of my retailers. Might not be your thing, might be something you want to try. I don't know if you're doing them, let me know. But I have retailers just, 3 and 4xing their profits, not just their revenues, because they've implemented things like Facebook Live sales when it comes to figuring out how to serve their customers better. They're bringing in new product lines or they're bringing in new makers, or they're promoting new things. They're doing new services, maybe it's appointment shopping or whatever it is you need to do. What are your customers thinking? What are they feeling? What are they doing? How can we serve them what they need? And this is all how we make our money, right? So we can right now, even without, if you're in a tourist area, or if you're, instead of just throwing in the towel, which I have seen some people do, I've seen a lot of people pivot. Greg and I were just discussing the fact that we don't like the word pivot anymore. We honestly want to take that out of but it's been a thing, right? We've had to learn to pivot. So we have to maybe pivot how we are attracting, engaging, nurturing, all of these things for everybody, and serving our customers is another one. So what are you doing to serve your customers? How are you letting them know, when you're open, and how, again, pinning to the top of your Facebook post, this is how we're serving you right now. Like we're doing curbside, you can call this number and we'll deliver it. Here's our e-commerce site. And if you don't have an e-commerce site, don't panic and freak out. That's okay. I have tons of retailers who are not. They're doing other things like Facebook Live sales or new services or appointment shopping, or there's all kinds of things that we can work through. And again, just come from a place of service for yourself, service for your customer. And it is selling. It's how are we going to sell? So how are we going to sell those customers? On e-commerce, there's different ways of making things really super simple for our customers. Make it really easy to take their money. again, just between you and I, between retailers, we got to make it easy for them to buy from us. This goes again back to showing lots of beautiful interior shots of your photo or of your shop. Maybe you weren't doing this before, but it's important now because people are just looking to shop with you. But if they have no idea what you have, or recently looking for a baby gift, I always shop local. I'm a dedicated local shopper. And I mean, who sells baby stuff around here? I don't know. Like, I just wanted, tell me what you have. And I was on all of these like different Facebook pages, and there wasn't even any recent shots of the shops or anything. It was just very strange. As a business coach, I found it strange. But like, we want to make sure we have lots of images and just keep sharing. Again, store tours once a week, whatever you can do to serve me, because I want to give you my money. That's what, like, our customers want to shop with us. So make it easy for them. Make it easy for me to pay too, right? If I am at your e-commerce site, make sure you have a smooth e-commerce checkout platform and all of that. So does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys, and hopefully you're still with me, and hopefully this still makes sense. The last part of keeping these customers happy and getting, this framework, this 5-part framework that we have here, these 5 easy questions to keep that bucket of customers coming in and to keep them nurtured inside and to keep them from not leaving and, not falling out the bottom. We're always going to lose customers, but we want to keep as many as we can. The last part of this is wowing. So what are you doing to wow and delight your customers? And what I mean, and I know my doodles are really bad. My husband was mortified that I was going to show you guys these, but I don't care. So it is wowing, right? Not that I don't care, I do care, but anyway, wow is a really important part. We want our customers to leave our shop smiling. We want our customers, you've all been there. You've all shopped someplace where you've left and you have a smile on your face. You feel good, right? You feel good about whatever it is you just bought, right? We want them to talk about it to other people, and we want them to come back again and again. We call this the circle of awesomeness in my groups. We want the circle of awesomeness means they've had success. We've got them. They've made a sale. They've had success with us. They tell all their friends. They come back with their friends. It's a great story, and it just keeps going around and around, right? Having repeat customers is so important, especially now. We all know keeping our local customers happy, keeping our current customers happy. And again, we want them to, I'm all glary again. Sorry, guys. The sun came out. We want them to be talking about us, but mostly we want them, it all starts with them being happy. So what are you doing to wow and delight your customers? I feel some of you rolling your eyes. You're like, I don't know, what can I do to wow and delight my customers? It's simple things like using their name. You usually get their name when you get their credit card. It's simple things of like, everybody does different things. There's tons of ideas for wowing delight. Just coming around the counter and handing me my bag. It's a simple thing that lots of retailers do, and maybe you're doing all of these things, but ask yourself, are customers leaving with a smile on their face? Are you, just shouting out, thanks for coming isn't necessarily the way to make them smile. What are you doing the extra step? Maybe if they just did a big giant sale with you, or they did a good sale, or you feel good, or you've had this great conversation, maybe you're, tossing in a small, again, watching your margins. I am all about margins, just so you know, but, and all of this is free, right? Most of what we're doing here is all free, but maybe we're just putting in like a, throwing in a little something that's very low margin for you. Little tiny things go so far. Maybe you're giving them a coupon, or maybe I have a retailer who gives thank you cards to her customers. Last year, she did that. She was greatly affected by the tourism drop, but she had her highest profits ever last year because she took these strategies and implemented them. And one of her wow strategies was a handwritten card on the back of a little I have one here. Excuse me while I show you my things here. Just on the back of a little business card, she had a little note that was like a thank you. She had business cards printed. I can't show you, but she had a business card printed that just had a beautiful saying on it, thanking them for shopping local. And on the back, she took 2 seconds while she was packing the bag without them seeing. And it's, I really appreciated meeting you, Susan, or whatever you could. This is a tiny little gesture, cost her nothing. I mean, $10 for some business cards or whatever. What are you doing to level up, to make people feel special? Maybe it's maybe it's just that you bring in other local pop-up shops and other people see that you're doing this, and you're talking, you're sharing their work, and other people love that. It makes people smile, right? Like, what are you doing to level up on your e-com sales? If you have an e-com store, if you have people doing e-commerce, or if you have people doing curbside, if you're not meeting them, if you're not seeing them, I see this a lot now. Can you send a simple email after, maybe like the next day, say, hope you got everything okay. Did you pick up, was everything as you wanted it to be? Like, that blows people away. And it does not take you, unless you have thousands of customers a day, it shouldn't take you that much time. You put a system in place for that. We talked about that yesterday in our session. Anyhow, these are the attract. We've got their attention, we've engaged them, we've nurtured them. We've served them how and what they want. Now we've made them leave smiling. There's tons of different ways to do all of these things. Again, I could talk about this all day long, but really when it comes down to it, we just want to, attract them, engage them, nurture them, serve them what they want. And then the last step is to wow them. And what all of this does is keeps our customers happy and coming back. And again, marketing does not have to be that complicated. So you pick the pieces that work for you, and you pick what, like, I had somebody say yesterday, like, I was in a store yesterday, and she's like, I just don't want to be on Facebook all day. Like, I just don't have time for that. You don't have to be. A few pictures, you post some pictures over the week, maybe do one Facebook Live, like, put that into a plan, and you know what you're doing. Especially if you do it at the beginning of the week. We work with promotional calendars with my groups. So we work with promotional calendars, so we know what we're talking about. We know what we want to do this week. We know what's coming up. We know how we want to do it. It doesn't have to be complicated, right? So, but we do have to keep this engine going, right? It's so important to keep this engine going. We need the fuel, because it does not matter how amazing our products are. It does not matter how beautiful our shop is. It doesn't matter how much gorgeous yarn you have or pottery you're selling, if people aren't coming in the door, or they aren't finding you, or they don't know that you're there, right? So, and there's so many different ways. I mean, again, you can start really brainstorming and looking in that. The next step to all of this, just so you know, the next step, if you want to know, ask your customers, have conversations, have unscalable conversations. I know you're talking to your customers, because you wouldn't be here if you weren't a caring, heart-centered retailer. Have a conversation with your customer. How did you find us? How did you hear about us today? If everybody says YouTube, guess what? You're going to do more YouTube. If everybody says, all my friends shared it because you asked your customers to share it, which is an attract strategy, then you're going to ask your customers to share more, or you're going to do that more, or you're just going to ask. Those are unscalable conversations that we have with our customers. And that's how we know how they found us. And then we do more of that. That's also metrics and data, which we don't like to talk about either as retailers sometimes, but that's where that comes from. And we just push the gas more on that. So I hope all of that made sense. I could talk forever about marketing and sales with retailers and how we can take these formulas and move them forward. I'd love to be able to answer if there's any questions. This kind of wraps up my whole conversation, or my chat, I guess. But I do want to let people know I do have, and this is really unfancy, I promise you I'm very professional, even though I do have some resources available. It's wendybatten.com, and it's summit-resources, if you can't read my doodles. And we have we have the 5 steps. My assistant put those on there today. It's a sheet that will just break them down, and you can just brain dump and brainstorm and sit down with your team, sit down with your friends, and come up with some really great ideas that work for you and are easy for you to do. So I hope that's helpful. And that's all I have.
Woo-hoo. Thanks,
Wendy. Talk fast. I know I talk fast. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, but it's a lot of good stuff to be thinking about, and we got some good comments too. In particular, with people just commenting about what they do to, awesome, do that special thing for their customers. Lindsay mentioned how she has a thank you card for first timers, and then a thank you card for the people who are return customers, because you recognize them, right, when you're working in the shop.
Yeah.
You know who's
it's harder back now though with masks, but anyway.
Yeah, that is, you're right, that's a challenge. Yeah.
No, absolutely, that's amazing, because that is so true. And how amazing do people feel knowing that that they've come back, right? So yeah.
So there's a good one here from Janet too, who runs a print shop. So she uses her, the second kind of prints, the ones that didn't work out that she doesn't want to sell, as a thank you card themselves as well. It's a little extra to throw in the bag. So that's kind of nice. It's like you're getting a freebie.
Super. Yeah.
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 So that's really cool. If anybody has any questions, please toss them in the chat. There was a question earlier, just trying to scroll in, from Julia, and she was just asking, when you were talking about merchandising, wanted to know just a little bit of an expanded thought on that. What do you mean by your merchandising in the store, and what works well, I guess?
Okay, well, we could do a whole session on that, but
I
can
know.
tell you a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just briefly.
I have an entire masterclass inside my Retailers Inner Circle on merchandising. But so merchandising, just making it easy for me, being intuitive for me, don't have roadblocks. So I'm in your store for the first time, have good lighting, like light up all those things that you want me to go buy, like light up and make it easy and the flow easy for me. Don't have big display cases at the very beginning of the door. So I got to walk in and I want it to be open and airy. I mean, there's tons of things with merchandising, but the flow is really important. Also, having really complicated display areas is it's not good for me. I'm not going to buy anything that I don't want to touch because I'm afraid I'm going to break it, right? So if you have a really amazing talent at doing gorgeous displays, and I have retailers that I work with because they're creative, so they make these beautiful displays, but nobody wants to touch them because if they don't want to take that one thing off of there because it might topple everything. So keep those things in mind. Amazing signage. Signage is your silent salesperson. We joke about it and we say signage is like it's your unpaid salesperson, right? So if you have a good sign that explains, like, why are these candles so cool? Or why is this pottery amazing? Or even a sign that says, ask us about this, like, triple poo-poo whatever glazing on this pottery, right? Or whatever, like, and then it'll like make me say, what's so special about this? And then, or ask us how you can join a workshop, or ask, having signage is really good, but lighting, flow is really important, and making sure that it's easy for me as a customer to buy. Hope that helps.
Yeah, perfect. I had a question too, Wendy, actually. Oh, sorry, there's a question from Julie. Okay, this is good. In the age of online shops, instead of signage, what do you recommend? So
instead of signage, what do you mean? So I'm not quite sure I understand the question.
Julie, maybe you want to expand on
so
what
how
you're
do
looking for.
how do you get people's attention on if anything on you don't have a physical shop. So for you want to do SEO all over the place. So it's not signage. It's more about being all over the place. And I mean all over the place so e-commerce is a whole different thing. I don't specialize with e-com, but I do specialize with brick and mortar. But the same principle matters, right? The traffic is what we're trying to get. So the more people that you can get attention to your website. So that's it's all from traffic. And I hate saying, like, the traffic's the big number and then you funnel down. Historically, only 1 to 4% of people that hit our websites buy from our e-commerce store. That's a crazy number that a lot of people don't understand. You can make that bigger if you really build up your reputation. And then once we get them on, we really need to get their attention and make sure that our photography is beautiful. So e-commerce is not a whole different game. It's just the same principles, but it's the traffic, right? Brick and mortar, if we get a human being inside our store, chances are we can convert them to a sale. I hate saying converting, but you guys, between us, right? We're in the industry. We can, if we have what they want and they're there to buy, we can sell them. Online is different. So online, you have to really keep working at your traffic. So hopefully that's helpful. But traffic is where you want to spend all your time. And that's SEO, getting people's attention all over the place. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. The question I wanted to ask was, you were mentioning Facebook live sales at one point. And I was curious, when you're talking about that, you literally mean I'm on Facebook Live and I'm like picking up products and saying, here's $35 for this. And, it's kind of a dibs system, and you're seeing success with that?
Like massive success with that. So what we have retailers that have become, like, I call them famous. They have customers now that are like, oh, it's the Lindsay show on now. Like they're waiting, with their popcorn. One of my clients, Amy from Schoolhouse Salvage, she's not local here in Atlantic Canada, but I mean, she has just gone crazy with Facebook Live sales. So look up Schoolhouse Salvage if you're wondering how to do it. You can do it on a big scale. You can do it on a small scale. I have some retailers that do it like every second Saturday. And this is, you know, this is what we need to do if we need to move things, right? So they're building up their audience. And then I'm not kidding. People are sitting home and they don't want to buy Amazon. They understand the difference between Amazon. So they're like, what do you got? What do you got this week? And yes, that's what they're doing, especially retailers that have different products that they can serve different weeks or, you know, different sales, vintage, one of a kind, any of those kind of things, crafts, creatives, artisans. If you have those kind of things, you could build up and have a beautiful Facebook Live sale. If anybody wants any resources on that, I have a lot of information about Facebook Live sales, virtual workshops. I teach workshops. I used to teach workshops. A lot of my retailers teach workshops. So this, of course, has been a strange time for us or for everybody. So there's tons of information on my website. Please reach out if I can help you in any way. It's wendybatten.com. You can send me a smoke signal, whatever you need to do, a pigeon or whatever. On Facebook, you can find me as well too. I have tons of free resources and a podcast that talks about a lot of these things as well too.
Amazing. Thank you. Comment here just from Dorte. Massive success in the jewelry realm with selling on Facebook Live. So she's been doing that. And it's helpful though, she says, to have some support. So having a sales assistant who's maybe in the shop with you, you know, carrying product to you and monitoring the Facebook feed, I assume.
Yeah, you know, it is crazy, to be honest, how successful. I've seen a lot of jewelry. I'm so glad you're having such great success with that. And it does take two people. So there's lots of partners that have been roped in to learn how to be on the other side of the camera or handing things to people. So it does take two people. I will say that. Yeah. Most of the time. Sure. I have retailers that do it solo. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks for everything, Wendy.
My pleasure.
We'll share your resources out. I put the link to your website in the chat there if anybody wants to look up your courses, so they can find you there. They can find you on Instagram, Facebook.
I'm all over the place. I hang out everywhere. So, yeah. So the podcast is called the Creative Shop Talk Podcast. We just started season 2 yesterday. And it's just for creative shop owners. I'm a weird niche, but that's what I do. That's who I specialize with, brick and mortar. So yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
I'll
pleasure. Do a quick plug for our next talk coming up. It's at 11 o'clock. So we'll be back in just over a half an hour for that one, with Mary Jane Tops, the phone lady. If anybody is interested in this talk, it's really going to be about having powerful retail experiences, you know, very much an extension to this conversation here, you know, how to create a memorable shopping experience for people coming into the retail stores. So looking forward to that. And you are all welcome to sign up for that one. Somebody's looking for the name of the podcast. What is the name of the podcast? I'll type it out.
Oh, I got it there. I'll put it in. It's the Creative Shop Talk Podcast.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you'll see my smiling face there. So, all right, thanks everybody. This was great. I really appreciate. This is my favorite topic. So, thank you, Greg, and to everybody. This has been an amazing forum, and all the so far everything that I've listened to has been amazing to listen to. So,
well, we've been really happy to have you. Thanks again.
All right, thanks, guys.